Being a church worker in your fellowship or occupying any position in your student union or SRC or however it's done in your school, that is not a license for you to fail your final year. In this video, I'm going to share my experience about being a church worker and how it affected my studies and my research, because that's what this channel is all about. Anything about academics and helping you get good grades in your research and your thesis, in whatever you call it. So why should you listen to me? I graduated from Caleb University with my bachelor's degree in architecture, and I just recently finished my master's degree in architecture. I have a bit of knowledge and a bit of experience that I help you along the way. If you fail your final year in your 4th level because of your project, your friends are still going to be your friends, but the truth is that it's not going to be the same anymore. I know some of my friends that experience this situation, and I'm going to just tell you so you know ahead of time and take your project very, very serious. And this is your 4th level final year. It's not like your 3rd level or 3rd level. If you had a carryover, you can easily resit the exam or do summer. It depends on how your school does it. If you had a good grade from 100 level, that's 400 level, and your project, you fail it, it's an extra year. I don't see anybody talking about it. I'm here for you to share my experience. I joined the workforce, I think it was ending on my 3rd level or 300 level, I can't really remember. And it was a very, very good experience, like to serve in the church. And I was in the instrumentalist department, they call us MOI, Ministers on Instrument. So I was a devoted worker. I normally go to church, I normally do church activities, I come for rehearsals and all that. So here is more context about my story. I'm an architecture student, and if you're watching that you're an architecture student, you know how the struggle is. You can't just have a good social life as an architecture student.
Tough time never lasts. Only tough people last.
I remember when I was in 3rd level, I can't remember, again, no shades to criminology students, but I remember one of my guys, like, he would just come back and be watching film on his laptop. Like, don't you guys have work to do? Like, he normally has classes like 2 times a week. I can remember that time, and I was like, bro, what are you guys doing, man? It's too late to like change architecture and all that. I actually had it very difficult with me because architecture alone is something that requires time. You can't have a great social life. I actually had to give up a lot of things. Number one, playing ball. I love playing ball. Whether I can play or not, that is the topic for another day. But I love playing ball, and with the amount of work that I had to do, with the projects that they were giving us to do, I just couldn't make out time to play ball, and especially as a church worker, because the time for playing ball and the time for rehearsals and all those stuff often clash. So I just had to let it go. Some of you guys can relate to this, and if you're a girl, you have some other things that you can put in place of football to include in your experience. That some of the things you dropped out as a church worker or in a student union position, there are some things that you can't necessarily have time to be doing. It actually affected my grade, to be honest, and I'm going to share some of the mistakes I made as some other people also make, so you can also learn and avoid these mistakes. Number one is starting late. Like, I can spend 10 minutes on this, but I'll try as much as possible to like give some experience, some stories and some tips that you can do to come out with a successful grade in your 400 level final year project. Don't start late, please. Don't start late. Better start early. If you're watching this video, at time of shooting this video, 400 level are just starting out. This season is like for those that are resuming their 400 level and they just finished their IT. So now is the second best time to start. I actually saw somebody in 400 level that already during the IT period, like before this resumption, was already on their questionnaire, and that is like chapter 3, chapter 4. And I was like very, very impressed, because the amount of time that is needed to do some of this research work is actually underestimated. Some people think that you can do your questionnaire, what method of data collection you're going to use, whether qualitative or quantitative, whatever method, they think it's just something you can do at a fly and get it immediately. I remember those times when I started late and I started sharing my questionnaire to as many people. You don't say that you have friends, because if you say you have friends, it will surprise you when you send your questionnaire, they will not feel it. Sometimes it can be unintentional, but like, don't wait till that last minute for you to start sending your questionnaire out or whatever you're going to do, or having interviews with people, or collecting articles and whatever you're going to use to get your data. I started later and it was my 400 level project. I started later and it was a group kind of presentation where I had somebody with me, but both of us were not serious. I'm just going to tell you the truth. In my project level, we actually manipulated our result. That was like the beginning of like ChatGPT hype and all those stuff. So we didn't really know much about ChatGPT. We were like, it's something that can just give you a research from chapter 1 to 5 immediately. And like those days when people were like writing their projects like with their hands and like typing and all those stuff, wow, that was very, very stressful. And we thank God for ChatGPT and the introduction of AI and all that. So the thing was that we actually made a mistake during the analysis, which we didn't do much. So we said that we interviewed about 15 PhD students, and our target was students of Caleb University, both undergraduates, masters, and PhD students. So on the day of our project, the people that supervised the defense were PhD students that we claimed that we sent our questionnaires to, and there was a mistake. We said there were about 15 PhD students that are doing their PhD in Caleb University, and there was not up to that number. I think there were like about 8 at that time. And if you actually interviewed 15, you should have sent the questionnaire to some of them. So you can see, it's like they just cut us, like there was nothing we could do. And yeah, it's because of we didn't start early and we didn't get those interviews. And that's one of the mistakes that happens when you start late. When you start late, you don't have time to start checking your work for mistakes and all those stuff. So the best time to start your work is now that you're resuming. So you can have the time to send your questionnaire if that is the route you're going for, and you can pressure those people. You can send them follow-ups until they feel it, and you know that you're going to be done on time because actually there's no time. The second mistake is that most people don't understand what the research is all about. They don't understand what they are doing, and they now outsource it to somebody. And sometimes the person that they outsource the work to doesn't even know what they are doing. So it's a situation where the blind is leading the blind. And the moment you do that and you outsource your work, when you don't have an understanding of what to expect and you just take the work anyhow they do it, at the time for defense, they are not going to be with you. And if you don't understand some of these concepts, it's difficult to explain it at the go when it's time for you to defend your project. And it's definitely going to affect you. Forget it. You're going to forget some of these concepts. Imagine defending something you don't know. You start stammering and saying a lot of rubbish, and at the end of the day they will say that are you the one that did the research, even though you did the research and you don't have an understanding of what you did, to still land you in trouble. And that's what blue draft is all about. In the upcoming videos I'm going to be sharing and teaching about research so you make an informed decision. Even though you want to outsource the work and you don't have time, blue draft is here for you. We have flexible packages. We can help you to do your chapter 1 to 5, and you know that your work is in the right hand. If you are stuck midway, you can always pick up from where you left from your chapter 3, on anywhere you are on the spectrum, from your chapter 3 to chapter 5, anywhere. If you need your work to be submitted to your supervisors for checking on time, we can be that person that you can rely on, and we are also going to teach you how to do it, so actually have the knowledge of what we are doing, because at the end of the day you're going to defend your work. So yeah, back to the video. Take a break. That is number 3. As church workers, I don't think break is in your dictionary. So I remember my undergraduate time, I didn't have break. I didn't even have time for myself or for my friends. Like I'm always on Monday, there's service on Monday. On Tuesdays, there's rehearsals. On Wednesdays, midweek service. On Thursdays, sometimes rehearsals. On Fridays, compulsory for instrumentalists because we have a meeting. On Saturday, choir rehearsals. Sunday, service. Sunday service is very long. Monday service, sometimes I don't go, sometimes I go. Rehearsals, I go. Wednesdays, I go. Like you just understand, like a lot of time that I would have spent on other things, you still have to attend service. And if you're in an SRC position, you have to attend meetings. And I was speaking with an SRC member few days ago, and he was also like one of the executives in the chaplain. And you guys are in the executive positions. I greet you guys. It's not easy. I just realized the amount of work that some of you guys do behind the scene. You guys have some meetings, you guys have to plan some programs and all those stuff. and yet you're still a worker, and yet you're still a student. It's a lot of responsibility, but I salute you for doing whatever you're doing. God is going to bless you, and in the future, this is going to help you, and it's going to give you skills that you're already going to need in the future when building your own stuff. Take a break. If the work is too much, I remember my masters, I wasn't as devoted as I would have loved to do my masters.
Bros, this hard. Things are hard.
It was very deceptive. It looks like we attended class just 2 times a week, but the workload was much, and I actually just had this spirit of procrastination, waiting until last minute. I need to create a video on that. If you're a master's student and you want to see that video, place a comment under this video and I'll create a video on that. It got to a point where I was like, why didn't I not just outsource this work? Why didn't I not just pay somebody? Because I knew somebody that could do the project very, very well. I was like, why didn't I not just pay? Because the workload was too much, which ties into starting early. I was talking to one of the SRC members, and he occupied, I think, one of the biggest positions that you can have in the chapel. And some of you guys may know him, but he was like telling me how I asked him some of these questions. How were you able to do your research and everything? And he was like, he doesn't, he just got that he doesn't even know how to explain it. I don't want you to get to that point where you don't know how to explain it. Like, it was a lot.
You gonna explain tire.
If you guys want to have him on this channel, I have an idea of creating like a podcast where some students that have graduated and all that, and they've been through some of these stuff, and they can explain some of these stuff better than I do, or they can share more experience. They are going to come on the channel, and we are going to have an interview, and we are going to talk, and so you can learn more. If there is something that you're interested in, let me know so I can bring some guests. There are always guests available to give information, and that's what Blue Draft is about. It's about sharing knowledge and making your research work and your academic life much easier. If you decide to do your project by yourself, you need to start early, and you need to figure out how you're going to carry out your research and present your findings. And the majority of the work is in your chapter 4. Start thinking about how you're going to get your presentation done in your chapter 4. You can have time to focus on your exam, because you don't want to start doing your projects when it's time for you to be reading for your exam. It's very, very difficult, and I wouldn't advise you to do that because you will not focus. So focus on finishing your project early so you can start preparing on how to defend it. And I'm creating something that is going to help you defend your project very, very well, and I'm going to make some videos about that in the future. For now, just focus on doing your work as early as possible. If you need help with getting your work done and meeting up with your supervisor deadline and all that, you can contact Blue Draft. We are here for you. In fact, one of the reasons why we created Blue Draft is because of these issues. And I was speaking to one of the executives in the chapel, and she was telling me, why didn't I create Blue Draft during a time when she was still in school and all that. So it shows that a lot of people are struggling with this, and this is going to help. So yeah, if you need help with that, join the community. If you need personal help, you can reach out to me privately via the community. My number is on the community. So thanks for watching, and bye. See you in the next video.